Hey guys, and welcome back to the Borderlands 2 DLC series, I guess. So we found a few pieces of the compass already. Scarlet has one, we found a second. The third one apparently is owned by Hyperion, or stolen by, or whatever. Let me just see, where do I go for this? Okay, elsewhere. I'll just quickly turn that in. I don't like how the fast travel location is so weirdly positioned in this map, when you'd really kind of want it to be slightly closer to the actual city. At least now I can make a vehicle though. But yeah, I would have appreciated if there was a fast travel location here. Or in this vicinity anyway, close to the quest-giving NPCs.
Good news! You don't have to help me staple Jesse's face back on because he's dead. Hemophilia ho.
Okay. Now the Hyperion caravan is in Wormwater. Which means it's probably fastest to go back to the fast travel. These things maneuver a bit strangely, so I'm not driving really erratically, it's just they are a bit sluggish in their response to my controls. Okay, back to Wormwater. Which has a much more convenient fast travel location. You're kinda right next to all the important quest people, and all you need to do to get to the vehicles is, I think you can even hop down here if you aim it right, but you can also just hop down here, and then you're pretty much there. I don't think I wanted the rocket version, I think the harpoon version is more fun. I think that's everyone. As I pointed out, I am a bit overleveled, and also being able to use the hovercraft to do the damage clearly helped. There you go.
You're awesome. We're probably gonna kill each other later, but for now, I just want to say, well done. We only need one more compass piece before we can find the lost treasure. Come on back.
You stop.
First of all, I'll say releasing its the enemy engaged. Injuries critical. Shutting down.
There we go. Nah. I mean, the singularity on that grenade is kinda nice, but still mostly meh. I remember the first time I played through this in co-op with a friend, we got a legendary from one of those chests. That was kind of nice. And it was a pretty good legendary. I think it was a slagger. Or slagger. Which is a pretty nice SMG, I want to say. It's very good for, well, slagging. So, especially for higher difficulty modes. Very nice. Now, Scarlet.
3 down, 1 to go. Once the compass is fixed, we'll find out where Captain Blade buried his treasure.
Okay.
I don't know where the last part of the compass is, but I know someone who might. His name is Herbert, and he lives out in the rust yards. Take that gift box over there. Hold on to that gift and don't give it to Herbert until I tell you to. Now go meet up with him.
Okay, I have a new skill point to spend. Increased gun damage to enemies with high health. Why not? Basically, Blight Phoenix is a pretty nice skill, so I don't know. And eventually Ruin is pretty strong. It makes my face lock a lot more powerful.
A few of my men deserted the ship when Sandman attacked. Could you kill them, please? Deserters bug me since I only have one rule on my ship. If you join, it's for life. That and no fatties. Sorry, that was supposed to be a joke. Yeah, sorry.
This is, by the way, one of the points where you really start noticing the somewhat unfortunate social justice aspect of the writer.
Worried that once you get all 4 pieces of the compass, I'll kill you and take it for myself. Wrong. Even once complete, the compass still needs to be taken to a very super secret location before it will reveal where Blade's treasure is buried. You can rest easy for now.
It doesn't show up too much in this game. It's apparently a lot worse in the pre-sequel. But there are just some occasions where it seems a bit forced, the whole, you know, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be fat, it's okay to be different, which generally I would assume smart people to some extent agree with. Well, not so much the fat thing, because well, it might be a sore subject for some, but let me just clarify. I don't mean that people should be skinny. I'm not particularly into the whole skinny model body type anyway. But telling people who are morbidly obese that it's fine to be morbidly obese, I disagree with. Like, there's a point where someone who's, say, a little on the heavy side should not be subject to hate for that. I mean, it's fine, but once it reaches the point of being unhealthy, then I think it's okay to say something about it. Map. I'm going the completely wrong way. And I have, I don't know, I find it, I don't think it's a good idea to tell people who are obese to the point of it being unhealthy that really it's fine and it's just society that's got the problem. But again, I'm not saying this applies to everyone who's slightly obese, or even just not super skinny. I mean, I do like a little bit of meat on my women as well, but you know, there are some like, take Ellie from the base game, if you still remember her. That's the point where it stops being, you know, fine and a life choice and starts being unhealthy. And indeed, when someone is damaging their own health, it's okay to say something.
Hold it right there.
Which, I don't know. It might seem obvious to some, but I seem to recall that especially in the pre-sequel there were some instances where it seemed like the writer of these games disagrees. Luckily he left Gearbox after the pre-sequel. I just find that the excessive social warrior stuff that some people seem to think should be done is tedious and doesn't help matters at all. Especially I find it annoying once it reaches the point of censorship, where, you know, you're not allowed to say these words, and, you know, if you say chubby, you're part of the problem, so don't use those words. And I am very much of the opinion that censoring the word does not censor the sentiment.
Hold it.
So telling people, you know, don't call gay people faggots might be might help in some rare occasions, but generally someone who uses a word like that in a derogatory manner has a deeper issue for some reason. And just because he's no longer allowed to use that word doesn't mean he suddenly stops hating them. So yeah, I'm very much opposed to banning certain words just because someone thinks they're offensive. The right of people to say what they like is more important than the right of certain people not to be offended, especially if it's being offended on behalf of someone else. That I find particularly just lame. Where is Deckhand? He's not here. That's in Hage's Folly. Okay. I just want to do the side quests first, basically. So let me just go to Hage's Folly. And I know this is quite a tangent. I just noticed it a little bit because, you know, the whole no fatties thing. That was a joke, and pretty clearly a joke. And they should have left it at that, but the writer decided he had to make absolutely clear that he didn't actually mean that, so they keep going on about this. They go on about it for more than I think is necessary, you know. I really, really didn't mean that. It was just a joke. Yeah, we get it. You're just sounding desperate now. And I don't know. That's one of the main problems I have with the whole social justice movement. Well, if you can call it a movement, I guess. Is that it tends to very often boil down to censorship. You know, don't use certain words because they might offend people, and you know, not using those words will make everything all right. When, you know, the idea should be don't be racist, don't be sexist, don't be homophobic, stuff like that. But you're not going to achieve that by telling people it's wrong to use these words. I mean, you can be quite offensive towards homosexuals without using the word faggot, and you can use the word and not actually hate them. And it just leads to the point where I am strongly opposed to censorship of any kind. So, while I agree with the basic notion that, you know, we should fight social injustice, which is obviously not a bad idea, or at least I think it's a good idea to basically fight injustice where it stands, but I don't think it's the right approach to just say the following is a list of words that we're no longer allowed to use, and we have now fought injustice. When, well, yeah, let's go with it. Actually, I have this class mod I don't want. And yeah, to my mind, it just betrays a misunderstanding of the issue when you say that the banning of words somehow affects the thing itself. You know, Rose by any other name and such. It's just seems to me like a very 1984 kind of notion that, you know, if people no longer have a negative word for homosexuals, they'll stop hating them, because without the word they won't be able to express negativity towards them, which is... I'd say it's very clearly wrong. And just... I've had some very annoying discussions with people who are proponents of this censorship deal, where they try to back you into a corner, you know, so you're okay with people using the word faggot, so clearly you hate homosexuals and therefore you are a disgusting person. And it's always a package deal, you know. So you try to go, you know, one step in that direction and say, yes, I do believe that, you know, for example, women should be you know, be paid the same as men if they're doing the same work, which pretty much, at least in Germany, and from what I noticed from the statistics in America as well, is pretty much already the case. At least in Germany, like the average man still earns more than the average woman, but that's because the average man has a higher position than the average woman. So now, if that might be an issue that needs to be addressed, or it might not be. It might simply stem from the fact that there are more career-oriented men than women. It might be. I'm not sure.
I remember him. He'd always bragged about blowing up an orphanage, which I've murdered my fair share of children, but don't brag about it. That's rude.
So yeah, I don't know enough about the topic to say that there is no issue here. But going ahead and, you know, pointing at this is how much the average man earns and how much the average woman earns in this industry, so therefore there is an issue, seems to me to betray a misunderstanding of the subject matter. Yeah, let's just go this way. And I'm not saying I have all the answers or you should listen to everything I say. That's another thing that I find really annoying. When I have been in a discussion... well, basically, I stream on, well, on Twitch, not really much anymore, but I do occasionally stream, basically. And I hold to the ideal that I do not want to censor my chat. So I don't ban people for saying offensive stuff, and I don't have chat rules in the sense. If someone's spewing insults and nothing else, I might time him out. Or if someone's blatantly spamming, like spam bots or these ad bots that, you know, sometimes come into your channel and just spam ads, those I ban. But like someone coming in saying, I don't know, I think Hitler was right, and genuinely defending that point. I disagree with that, but I'm not going to censor it, because it is self-evident to anyone with half a brain cell that Hitler wasn't right. And obviously, yes, you can argue that not everything he said was wrong. That would have been pretty impressive, but you know, the vast majority of stuff he ended up saying and doing were pretty dumb and pretty wrong. But anyone who's got a slight understanding of history and who isn't a complete dickhead will agree with that anyway. So it seems to me that there's not really much of a point censoring such a statement, because the people I want to be in my audience when I'm streaming have to be smart enough to know that anyway. If someone is so dumb that they actually believe that, you know, maybe Hitler was right, then I do not want them to watch me. I just want them to be elsewhere. So basically the people I want to stay and watch do not need me to ban such a person. So I'd rather, you know, engage such an asinine comment and try to show him how he's wrong. Which, in 99% of cases, it's just someone trolling. And if it's not someone trolling, then it's someone who is beyond the help of any mortal. But
That shut him up.
I still don't think that...
Enough. Strangely satisfying.
I just don't think that censoring them, banning them is really necessary. It shouldn't be anyway. But anyway, because of that, you know, having no chat rules, especially back in the days when I was still streaming on Twitch, you occasionally get people coming into chat and saying, I've seen your chat rules, and you know, you should really have a rule against homophobia, and you know, you should really add the recommended ban list from Twitch to your account so that certain words are banned. And then, you know, I tell them that I'm against censorships, and I believe that if I cut out someone's tongue, I'm proving that their point is dangerous instead of proving that they're wrong. And it just ends up being a mind-blowingly silly discussion where in the end, more than once, these people have told me that because I am white, male and middle class, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on this matter. That unless I have, basically unless I'm a black fat woman, I'm not allowed to speak on the matter. I mean, that wasn't quite their statement, but that's what it amounted to in the end. So... you know, you're just another privileged middle-class kid, so your opinion on this is irrelevant, stuff like that. And I found that very infuriating. It's like my opinion is irrelevant because I have had a fairly good life, which is true. I mean, compared to the lives others have had, I've definitely been lucky. So, not disputing that, but that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to speak on such matters. Yeah, I want to go here. So I don't know, I'm always quite annoyed when that happens, or I was annoyed. It doesn't happen so much on Hitbox, but
I brought him on board a few months back because he's stupidly knowledgeable about Captain Blade's treasure. Then I kicked him off because you'll see.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna end the episode here.
Asks about me, don't say anything.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even get why these people would be on Twitch, and why would you go into a random channel and tell him to add chat rules? I mean, I get that they believe they're doing the right thing, but it seemed so asinine the way they argued their case. And, you know, this whole check your privilege stuff, I just find that rather tedious. Anyway, good point to end the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.